And we are live. Good evening. Good evening, my co host, Cam Falcon and Gloria Brat Bannister. So there's a new opening that someone developed, and it was one of our fans that sent this to me to play. And until we get that new producer on the show to run this automatically here, I'm going to go ahead and just show you what it is. So stand by. I think you're going to like this.
This is Patriot Sentinel, where truth doesn't whisper, it roars. Hosted by Rarchar Tortorello, we're cutting through the noise to talk government, politics, fairness, the Constitution, community, and God. Stand up, speak out. The watch begins now.
Oh, wow. What did you guys think about that?
That was awesome. That's
Gives you
right.
warm fuzzies, man. Warm
But we
fuzzies.
have when we started this whole podcast thing, it has blown up.
Yeah.
And when I walk around Norman, they go, "Hey, I saw that last night. I saw you discuss this." And last Friday's podcast on the Stillwater jerk who got from 78 years to 150 hours of community service. And we'll discuss that tonight too as well. That took off and people were angry. And the story actually made it on Newsbreak. And it's out there and people are upset. So I want to welcome again. I'm Rarchar Tortorello, my co-host Cam. And we all decided to give each other call signs. And so he said his was Civic Falcon. I don't know. I think we should just say Falcon, and then
Sure. Sure.
and then of course the brats, and this is not a slam for her to Gloria. A brat is a term that military dependents use. We all identify ourselves as brats, and I don't know where it originated from, but it stuck with us, and so she's brat one until we get another person who's brat two. But she's hot mess to brat one, and then Falcon on my left. So Cam, what's going on, bro?
Hey, man. I've been doing good, staying out of trouble. I did hear that you were taking a nice trip. How did that go? How did other drive? How did that drive go?
So the impromptu, and it seems to happen, it's not programmed, was down to Dallas this morning. So I'm working on a story, and I had to meet a source in Texas, and it all happened last night, and I left early this morning. And it's the lonely trip, and so I hate these long butt drives. And there's a story that when I was in the Air Force and I was stationed in Kentucky, and we had an academy class in Florida, and I drove with a buddy of mine, and he decided he would take the first drive, and I would take this. We would just go back and forth. And so, like a baby, that's how I see myself. I get in the car, I'm conked out. He drove. He woke me up and said, "Hey, would you mind taking the wheel?" I said, "Sure." And so we swapped position, and I drove for like maybe 10 minutes, and I pulled over. I fell asleep. I was so tired, and so we all woke up maybe about an hour and a half later, and he's like thinking we're like almost 100 miles away. I mean, and he goes, "What the hell?" I said, "I'm tired. I can't do this," and so he drove the entire way. So that trip was good this morning, and I pulled over and stopped. And I think the biggest thing was the traffic on I-35. It's never ending construction, and I don't know why people would want to come to Oklahoma. I would fly, then come back through and travel northbound or southbound on I-35.
They have been working on
No.
that highway for 55 years.
Yeah. Whenever I take trips, I'm the one who drives. As long as I have a good co-pilot, or if I have a podcast, I could drive for miles. So
No, look, look. The next time we do a trip like that, you're my co-pilot because I had no Slim Jims or Mountain Dews. So Gloria, what was you, what? How has your day been so far, sweetie?
I've had a great day. Thanks. Yeah, I've had a great day.
You know what?
Turning 55
She was going to say that
yesterday. Yeah.
it was her birthday, and we celebrated over the weekend
Mhm.
at the Bavarian restaurant, and we had a
Mhm.
great time. It's always
Yummy.
nice to have German food, and she was look. I know the band that was playing, and and they sang happy birthday to her, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, thank
Thank
you."
you so much.
But you know what? When you're a good person, both you guys are great people. People love to celebrate both you guys.
Absolutely.
When I go around and they talk about the podcast and they say, God, man, we love Cam, we love
Oh,
Gloria.
stop it.
Actually, they say we like Cam, kind of, sort of, right? No, no, Cam,
Oh, they love
you
Cam.
you
You know
have a
what everybody tells me about Cam? They say Cam's a good guy. That's what everybody tell. Good guy. You're a good
and
guy,
you
Cam.
and you notice the one syllable name dudes like Nick and Cam, they're the ones that you can count on. You notice those
Mhm.
single syllable name men, those dudes. Okay, they're the ones you can count on, like to do everything and have your back. It's like
Right.
Cam. I would have to have you with me. So if we ended up in jail, if I ended up in jail one night, I know you're sitting in the cell next to me. We're trying to figure out who to call to bail us out, like Gloria.
Me,
So
because
Gloria.
I wouldn't be in jail.
I'll call my wife and Gloria.
Oh my gosh. My parents growing up, they told us that if you are ever arrested, do not call. You're going to spend the night in jail. And that's how I was taught not to break the law. And the only law I break is maybe speeding, but
Amen.
anyways, so you can search me on OSCN. I am clean as a
Me too.
whistle. Good
Me too.
evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Rarchar Tortorello, joined tonight by my co pilots, the Falcon and the Brat. And we've got a lot to cover, and we're starting with the big one, the government shutdown. Every few years, Washington manages to prove the same thing: it can't manage itself. Right now, we're watching another high stakes standoff, the Schumer shutdown, where politicians argue over budgets, policies, and priorities, but the people who pay the price are the ones who get up and go to work every day. Federal employees get furloughed, small businesses lose contracts, families see tax dollars wasted while lawmakers play chicken with the clock. And the truth that we all know, because we've all been government employees at one time, it's not about the funding. It's about the political game called leverage. Each side is fighting to frame the narrative, but this time, I'm going to say that the Republican Party is on the right side, and they had their 12th vote today, and still the Democrats were not on board. Meanwhile, the American people are tired of watching the Washington clown show weaponize dysfunction, talking heads, and their excuses. We don't shut down our families when we disagree. We talk, we work, and we find a way through it. But in DC, the incentive isn't to solve problems, it's to score points. And tonight, the topic, the main issue is the government shutdown. And Cam is the only host who's actually employed by the government full time. And I'm going to throw it over to you, brother.
So let's talk about a quick civics lesson, right? I've been hearing a lot of people talk about it's Trump's fault, the reason why we have a government shutdown, which is a simple civic 101. It's not the president who did this. It was, you know, the Senate, the Congress, the Democrats that don't want to come together and have a conversation and vote on simple solutions, right? So when we're talking about approving the budget, right? I want to talk about efficient government, especially from the
Hmm.
executive side. With Trump, let's compare 2025 right now
Right.
to just a year. So to buy a house, the interest rate last year, 2024, was at 8%. Right now, currently, we're at 6% nationwide. The prices of X were at $3.14. Now we're at $1.17. Gas prices $4.11. I just tanked today at $2.11 here in Oklahoma. Milk. $4.42, slight change to $4.17. Bread,
Right.
$1.95 to $1.84. So when we talk about taking care of the government, the people who need to feed their families, to go to work, to do the essentials, I will tell you, Trump is doing a better job than Biden.
Absolutely. So the last time I was a government employee was back in 2010 when I was a defense contractor, and we had just come out of a government shutdown that only lasted a few days. The resolution was signed. Everyone voted to keep the government open. But one thing that people may not understand, and you guys understand, is that for active duty military and retirees and Social Security recipients, we always get paid, so the paycheck will always come. But you see Mark Wayne Mullen's post today about the 12th vote and still nothing passed. Gloria, 500,000 civilian employees will not get paid this Friday. And they are like us, families, mortgages, credit cards, gas. Can you imagine, Gloria, being one of those 500,000 government employees not getting paid
Well,
potentially on Friday?
I've lived that once before, and I see pandemonium already setting in with people on Facebook, social media, you name it, and the key factor is children going hungry, and that's not acceptable.
Mm.
And at this point in time, to compare apples to oranges, whatever, it's Republican versus Democrat. And it is definitely, when you look at our two core beliefs, the values that we have as Republicans unite us, right? But what are the values of Democrats? They want to give money to illegals, but don't
Mm-mm.
want to take care of the citizens of America or of the United States of America. And I have a problem with that. And I think it's disgusting that we can't even get five Democrats to come over. I thought some were going to jump ship already, and I think maybe three have, but they still haven't come out.
So that is the difference between the Democrats of today and the ones that we knew 25 years ago. I think
Correct.
everyone can agree that politics has gotten so off course. So when the Democrats and Republicans disagreed 20, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, it was a civil disagreement, handshake, let's fix the problem. Their main issue and only priority was to get things back, and not shut down, and to have
Right.
that conversation. I mean, you realize that since Obama became president, and Cam, I don't know if you researched this, but the frequency of the shutdowns. Do you have you researched the frequency of the shutdowns and when it started? Because this really wasn't a thing, 25 years ago. I don't believe so. Have you researched that?
So, 2012, there was a government shutdown. That was during Obama. And 2014, when I was in service, I remember hours lasted 40 plus days. And this is where I will say, if it wasn't for Navy Federal taking care of veterans and saying,
Hmm.
hey, you know what? Don't worry. Here's your paycheck. Pay us back the money when you get paid. We'll take care of you. If it wasn't for them, my wife and I would be struggling as E3s, in the Navy, trying to take care of bills and help the mission out there.
USAA was the same way too. Gloria, when your father was in the Air Force, did
Army.
he ever Army? Well, Army. Well, I want to say Air Force. So
Over.
when your
I had to
father was in the
correct you.
air, when your father was in the Air Force, Cam was in the Army too. Did he ever experience what they're
Navy.
experiencing today? So, hey, so
You
since you're out of focus, and you're not looking at the group chat, there you go. Keep
I
going.
am looking at you.
Yeah, but look,
I'm
okay, look at
sorry. I
you.
was pet
Look.
I have a little Yorkie, and she's 2.6 pounds, and she was right here on my side, and I was trying to get over here. My arms aren't long, you know? I remember around the 80s, I think it was 1980, 81, that there was a government shutdown, and we were in Nuremberg, Germany at the time. No, we weren't. We were in Schweinfurt. And, it I think people that are overseas, it doesn't affect as much as it does the people in the United States, right?
Right.
So things weren't as bad. I don't remember them being as bad as what we are dealing with today because we have so many people on food stamps, EBT, you name it. I just saw a video shortly a little while ago of a woman yelling and screaming at the teller checking her food out, and she's like, "What do you mean my card isn't working? I can't buy pizzas and Coke anymore?" And she's like, "Ma'am, that has nothing to do with me." And I think that we're we're headed toward something that's going to be very dangerous, much like what COVID was. How we closed down everything. I mean, government workers went home to work, and you saw how efficient people were working from home. But as what's going to happen now is you're going to have children that already don't get enough food at home. They're now not going to get food, especially if the household is on EBT. And
Hmm.
that's a problem. I just did a quick
Hey,
look, and
go
we've
ahead, go.
had a 1980, 81, 84, 86, 1990, 95 to 96, 2013, January 2018, December 2018 to January 2019, 2024 near shutdowns, and 2025, and day 20 crisis and SNAP funding shortage. That's how many shutdowns we've had so
Hmm.
far.
Hey, so one of the worst presidents had the first government shutdown, and guess who that was? Jimmy Carter in 1980.
Oh,
I was going to
yep,
say
it
that.
So
was.
that's when it started.
That's when it started. The Democrats, amazing.
Speaking about the Democrats, you go, so who paid attention? Actually, I wrote a commentary Sunday about my experience in Oklahoma City No Kings protest. And when I went to the first one earlier this year in June, I was just trying to have a conversation with everybody, and I met this old lady. She could have been my fourth grade school, teacher in fourth grade, and she was nice and polite, and she smiled, and who are you here with? And I said, I'm a Trumper, I'm MAGA, and I would like to talk with you and have a conversation. And she turned into the devil because she started yelling like, "MAGA, MAGA, don't talk to this guy!" And she was screaming, and people were looking, and I go, "Oh my gosh!" And I stayed for like 5, 10 minutes, and I had to leave. They were a little angry in the first No Kings protest. This Saturday, I went and totally different, and two schools of thought. They may have gotten instruction to be civil to journalists and people, because don't forget, it's right off the heel of Thursday's University of Oklahoma Turning Point USA event that we had here in
True.
Norman. And so there was a No Kings protest in Norman as well as Oklahoma City. The people in Norman, it rained, they rained out, and they just left. But the guys in Oklahoma City, about 3,000 people showed up. They faced the rain. But one thing I've noticed when I came back and I wrote the story is that we can all agree, I think, is that the Democrat hate machine, the propagandist part of their party, whom they allow to operate with impunity to do what they say what they want, they're the ones working with the mainstream media to create a scene, to create a situation where they're telling, and I don't want to say weak minded Democrats or independents, but they're influencing our friends and family. Some family, I've got a cousin who's nuts, army guy, and he supports this type of bullshit. And so if you get a chance, it's posted, it's up. I've got a lot of comments and I've got a lot of shares, and the Democrat Party itself, the apparatus, is evil. But I think for the most part, the Democrat individuals who identify as independents and Democrats, these are the people that we live with, who we work with, and we know.
Mhm.
And do you guys think that? I mean, so Cam and I, so military, in the military, we don't care what your issues are. You got the uniform, we get the mission. You just do your job, and we go our happy way. So in a conflict, once a conflict is done, and it started with George Marshall, General Marshall in Europe after World War II. The Marshall Plan was famous to basically build Germany back up, build Europe back up, to show them that we are part of them, and we do that, and we did it in the Middle East. and we understand in Vietnam and the Balkan War, Gulf War One, Two, Afghanistan, that we are fighting the government and not the people. So,
Correct.
do you think I'm wrong when I say that we're fighting the democratic hate machine, but not really the people?
So when we talk about, the No Kings protest, do you really truly think that Trump is a king? Because he was in The Apprentice. He knows how to fire people really quick, right? But if we truly think he was a president, we wouldn't have freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of expression, any of those things that are currently happening. So this is where I will say, uh, unfortunately, I don't see principles or I don't see values currently with these protests, because what they're protesting is, if you look at it at a just a primary level, it's not there. Why are you protesting? Because he's behaving like a king? Well, the government shutdown again didn't happen because of Trump. It happened because of the Senate and the House. If Republicans and Democrats are trying to pass legislation because they have the power of the purse, come on. So again,
Exactly.
simple civic.
Gloria, so my three questions to ask the protesters who would talk to me: why do you think Trump is acting like a king, and has his accomplishments not made your life better? And the last question is
Right.
that: are you upset at how he uses his presidential power and authority, or you just don't like the results? And 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 the answer, they didn't answer the question. They acknowledged his accomplishments, but they said he did it as a dictator. And it's like a no-win scenario with these folks here. They're reading off the same script.
They
Glory,
do. They have a script and they're reading it. It's there is no civil discourse with these people. You cannot talk to them civilly because once they find out that you're not like they are, they go on the attack and it's a devious, and I believe it's Satan's controlling it. And I think we're definitely in spiritual warfare. I've never seen in my lifetime, I've seen, I listened to my father talk about, Vietnam, and we all can agree we should have never been there. And because that was a politician's war, right?
right,
And
right.
and so it seems to me that there's a common denominator. It's always politicians, right? And it's like, I never considered myself, even though I ran for office, I never would consider myself to be a politician. I don't think. Uh, I don't know how that started turning to be a bad connotation to be a politician. I don't know, but I think that you can hide behind Facebook walls or social media walls and really go after somebody. But when it's face to face, they hide behind masks and hats and jackets and hoods and whatnot. And they don't want their faces seen. So I think it's kind of ironic when you see, not that we're talking about this, but ICE agents, they're going after ICE agents and they stand in front of them yelling and screaming, "What's your name, soldier? What's your name? What's your name?" And they're covered in gear to protect themselves. They're not doing it to hide, but they're doing it to protect themselves because these people will throw God knows what on them. So that's just my take.
No, that's a great take. You both have great points. Do you think that I have a gentle and soothing demeanor and face, and this is why they don't see me as a big threat?
I think so.
I can't say what I was going to say, but you know what I'm thinking. No, I'm
Hey,
kidding. No, I think so.
this is what.
I
Say what
think
you want to say.
you do have a gentle kindness, and you are not white. Does that make sense?
Yes,
And I think
even
Cam can
though
get
I
away
look
because
white.
he's not white. Like I already had a conversation with somebody the other night about this, and it goes back to the census, and I think I'm going after the census because I think it's racist.
So for another show, we're gonna have to talk about our time running in office and all the hate mail I get about being anti-Semitic and
Oh,
a
please.
Nazi. I mean, like, it was crazy. When the LA Time writes about you, you made it big time. But we had to get on to the last segment. So there's a case in Stillwater that we discussed last Friday, and it was blowing up on social media. A lot of shares, a lot of comments. It was about a 17-year-old boy at the time who was tried as an adult for strangling two of his girlfriends. He didn't kill them, but he strangled them and recorded it. And he was tried as an adult in the first go around, and sentenced to 78 years in prison. But somehow the prosecutor okayed it, or somebody, they won't return phone calls. So no comment so far. Found a different judge, retried him as a youthful offender, and the boy received 150 hours of community service and is on parole until December. And before we run that, we found a good clip that I think viewers might enjoy. But this pretty much sums up what and why we are upset with the law, sometimes the courts and prosecutors for not prosecuting pedophilia, crimes against women, and so forth.
Stay. Get the fuck out of my restaurant.
Do something. The police are coming.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out.
Hey, the police are coming.
Get, and you can wait on them outside my restaurant.
Nah, the police coming.
Yeah.
Oh my, Gaston.
Now I got you for assault.
Oh my, give me for assault, bitch. You a child predator. Give me for assault, pussy. What, we out? Nah. I can't wait till the police get here. What you got going on here, child predator? What's that? Write a line, mark a line. What you got going on? What kind of child predator activities do we got?
So, Gloria, this is your first question. Do you think, with the inaction, and I'm not going to say corrupt because they haven't got a chance to explain themselves, the prosecutor, do you think parents and average minded Americans might take the law into their hands like this situation?
Absolutely. I never understood the wording of crime of passion. I think that's not the right word to use for somebody who assaults the perpetrator who caused harm to their loved one. And, I had a really good friend back in high school in Nuremberg, Germany, and she was brutally raped.
Mm, mm-mm.
And they sentenced, this is the military tribunal. They
Right.
sentenced the guys, they kicked them out of the military, and they said if they were going to send it because they were of color, let me just say it that way, and they didn't get long terms in prison because they thought that uh, they wouldn't have a future. And I thought, well, her future is the remembrance of everything that happened to her, and I think that I'm okay with at the moment parents doing things or people doing things, but at what point at what point can we not accept people going after people that do horrible things?
I mean, look, it's a possibility. I mean, it happens all the time. This is not the first video that we found,
No.
Cam.
No.
There are videos showing up now of sting operations in Walmart, of
Yep.
catching child predators. Now, this guy, he's a predator in a sense, not a child predator, Cam, but he strangled a girlfriend, and when she woke, he strangled her again. Just to record
Yeah.
it. So, if
He
you were
could
a
have killed her.
father, look, he was tried as an adult the first time, and Cam, we have daughters. I mean, how would you feel if this happened to one of your kids, and the sentence was overturned by a different judge, and they changed everything, and the dude is scot free? 150 hours of community service.
So one of the things I will say is, I believe in the justice system, right? I believe for everybody to be tried equally. But with that being said, if we lose trust with our justice system, that's where I will say we start coming back into I'm going to take care of business as a father, as a grandfather, as an uncle, because the justice system is not doing its fair share and doing
Hmm.
the hard work. I'm sorry. And unfortunately, what this happened to the victims, I don't know the level of anger I would have. I this judgment this judge did just awful. It's sad.
Hmm.
For Stillwater, I will say for the community, I'm going to tell my son when he becomes ready to go to school, to go to college. I'm sorry, I'm not going to send him to Stillwater because of this judgment. I'm sorry, I'm not going
Right.
to go toward somebody who's going to invite criminals instead of justice. You know.
Absolutely. We're down at the bottom of the hour, and it's last call time before we play a video that Cam thought was funny. But before we do that, ladies first. Gloria, do you have any last says? Any last?
How about something positive? What's one kind word the two of you could say to your spouses?
You want me to go first?
Yes, Cam, you go
Yes.
first.
That any success we have with our family is because of her. Any success.
That's pretty powerful.
I would probably say, thank you, sweetie, for keeping me in the bling, keep me looking pretty, wearing nice things and jewelry.
That's why people trust you.
You,
Well, I
what,
can
what
tell
about
you,
Come
you?
on.
I'm loved unconditionally by my husband, and, you should look on my Facebook page and see my beautiful flowers he gave me yesterday for my birthday.
You know what I have to say? I like Mark a lot. I like his mustache, and I showed a picture. Cam, I don't think you've seen this, but I decided to go with a big mustache, and my barber gave me instructions on how to comb it and how to the wax thing. And so a couple years ago, we went to Vegas for a Trump event, and you're taking pictures with the Trump and everyone. And I thought I was looking good, sporting this, a big ass mustache until the pictures were posted online. I go, oh my god, I look like a Chinese spy. I called him and said, I need you to take this down. And I was going to shave that whole shit off that night because it was so embarrassing. And I showed, and Mark, he didn't believe that I had a mustache, so I showed it on my phone. He goes, oh my gosh, we are brothers.
Get
Cam.
him. He's right there. Get him.
Oh, it's funny. So that's why I was laughing earlier
Oh,
because when
Okay.
when Rashar asked the question about how do they trust him, because he's really a Chinese
no.
No, that's what I said. I said, so I got my cat card, my VA cat card, so I can log in and check my stuff and do my work sometimes. And the picture I used, they took, and I had the mustache. I come back from Vegas, and I go, oh my god, that was horrible. I'm gonna go out and lose my card in the parking lot and get a new picture and a new card. He just looked at me and said, no, you're gonna get the same picture but a new card. You're
You're
stuck with this
stuck.
until your paperwork, which renews in October, or I can go get a whole new card and a whole new picture. That is my profile, on the VA email database. Like, oh my gosh, they're not going to talk to me. No one's going to say, my God, they were going to turn him into
See, at least you were able
ice.
to grow a mustache.
Oh,
After the military, I was able to grow this. Before that, I had the Joe Dirt look. I'm good. You
oh
guys
wait,
take
he
care.
had long
Care.
hair too. So I think
Oh,
Cam should show us when he had long hair.
Cam, any last words, bro?
hey man, I'm enjoying this. I love the intro. Good job. Let's keep building.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and play his funny thing, and then we're done. And I want to thank everyone for showing up tonight. And we are on every Wednesday nights, and we are looking for a producer so they can take care of all this stuff, and I don't have to do it on my end here. But I want to thank Falcon and Brat One. It's always fun having these conversations, and we'll see you soon. So stand by, watch this video, and laugh.
Peace.